Hello, and welcome to another vlog in which I'm going to explore some of the scenic delights of St Austell, aka Snozzle. So that's Travelogue Gardens. I'll just pop and show you another garden just nearby. So we're very lucky for garden visits here in this part of the world. Britannia Inn on the left, worth a visit, good beer. It's quite an eatery, but it's worth going there. We certainly use the place, it's within walking distance for us. Let's make sure everybody knows which way we're going. So Pine Lodge Gardens, Needham Gardens, whatever they're called these days, is the next port of call. So this was originally run by a elderly couple now retired to our village, now run by a gentleman called Chan, I believe, who's has links with the local colleges, horticultural colleges. So this is the sort of entrance area where you can you walk on and you buy your tickets. So that's the second garden for this area. So, next stop, I think we'll do a circular. Right, so next port of call is going to be Ellegan, the lost gardens thereof, which world famous, certainly, but if you haven't heard of them, I'll put some pictures up and give you a brief descrizione when we're there. See the valley to the left with the river running through it, called the White River because at times past it would run white with the residue of the China clay industry. Now not so often, only when we've had a lot of really heavy rain. But these are all sort of man-made watercourses. They've got channeled power or for, for moving materials. So just nice to get out on the bike in winter. Got the heated grips on one setting at the moment, which is just giving me a bit of warmth, not too much. It's It's 11 degrees, so it's moderately mild time of year. In the river down to the left, if you're walking along carefully and don't have too many noisy children or dogs with you, you can see the dipper sometimes, which is nice. Herons. Yeah, it's a very pleasant valley, but bear in mind, formerly all these were areas of mine workings essentially, where they would make money from china clay, tin, copper, etc. So we're going to take the long way up this hill because it's the more scenic, but often the more crowded, unpleasantly so. Pick up a bit of speed here. There's a fabulous view to your left, and I might just stop and get off the bike, give you a chance to peruse it. Very difficult to if you're actually driving or riding. A very impressive viewpoint indeed, and from the top you can see all the way down to the coast there, the Gribben, the Denmark and Foy beyond. Just in the valley there's some ruins, and the coastal path winds its way up the hill and goes in the same direction we're going. But it's beautiful light this afternoon, isn't it? Always opportunities for photography in these parts of the world. Right. Another problem with Cornwall in the winter time is that the roads can get very splattered with mud and all kinds of debris, because farming goes on year, and you've got to do work on the fields. So you can't ride all that enthusiastically on these open roads. Also, nice to get past this caravan, which I can do safely. Mr. Cantavan. So that's the caravan park in question to the left. Heligan Woods it's called. I don't think they're actually anything to do with Heligan. Here comes some of that farmer's mud, which of course gets all over your bike. There's the culprit, the mud on the road. Right, the Lost Gardens of Heligan, as rescued by Tim Smith very famously. Yeah, special place in the heart. Local people, best to come here in winter, early spring, before it really gets busy. Right, let's go for a coffee. It was a great house and gardens which were maintained by an army of gardeners up till the First World War, and all the gardeners got enlisted and they went away, and sadly most of them never came back. So it's a little bit sad story. The place fell into disrepair, dereliction, and an incredible collection of plants here, particularly the rhododendrons and camellias, which are historically important. We get the overgrown underneath the weight of brambles and other things. So Sir Tim Smith, who wasn't then Sir Tim, found the place in about, I think it was the mid-1990s. I'll put up the date if I can remember it. Put some pictures up as well, because I'm not actually visiting the garden today. I'm just going to stop and have a coffee, which you don't have to pay admission to. It's a very popular spot. They have all sorts of events here during the year, which you can come to quite a few. So, yeah, I'll stop recording now and sit down with a coffee. Okay, so it's confession time. I forgot to bring all the stuff for the 360 mount, left it at home. Oops. So, instead of 360 footage, here's some calming video of a fire. Right, that's enough relaxing fires for now. Gonna drink my chai latte and then get on, as we say in Cornwall, as opposed to kiss on, which means I don't believe you. That was the Lost Gardens of Heligan. And we're now sort of retracing part of our steps, but we're taking a slightly different route on the way back. Just to correct myself earlier, the Heligan was rediscovered in 1990 and opened in 1992. It's been a matter of... So instead of going straight back on the road we came, we're going to take a slightly more windy one. Hopefully it won't be too mud strewn. Going up by Penchuan and give me a chance to rearrange the wiring inside my helmet, which probably could do with properly sorting with gaffer tape. Now then, what's this geezer doing? He's doing a Yui. Great place to do it. Another pretty little village. This place used to be a port, very much like Charlestown is now, and Parr is now, but it silted up some years ago and is now what was left of the harbour over there is just an enclosed piece of water. There's no boats coming in or out. Now I think I can just probably stick her in here whilst we do this. I have to wheel it back out though. However, right, we'll do a quick intro to Penchuan and then we'll sort our helmet out. Get going. So here you have the remains of the harbour at Penchuan. As I said, it's now an enclosed still piece of water. The lock gates are sort of in situ, but they're decrepit now. To the left would be, sail lofts, fisherman's gear, and all sorts of things. But it was used primarily for the clay industry, where there was a railway coming to here from the clays. Closed maybe about 100 years ago now, and the port silted up and is now no longer operable as a port. The way in which we're going will be up that hill there. Right, here we go again, up this very steep hill, Penchuan Hill. No fuss for a bike like this though. Just imagine living here with all the views and the things. What they mean by roadworks, and you've got to watch out for bewildered tourists as well. Typical Cornish lane, high overhanging hedges, very narrow passing places. Got to be mindful at all times what's going on. There's an interesting place down there to the right, which I won't go into, called Helene Beach. Nice little secluded cove, and which are there loads around here, and most of the tourists don't know about them, which is great, except for the fact, of course, things like TripAdvisor and Google Maps and all those other things do tend to lead people there, which it's a fact of life, isn't it? You can't keep the whole place to yourself. But yeah, so we're on the back road back into Snozzle, and should be less trafficy, but also potential for tractors, cyclists, walkers. So not a speedy road. Just pottering along, and these roads, 30 mile an hour is probably really your maximum. As you can see, that the centre of most of these roads is gravelly and or muddy, so the risk is you venture onto that piece, it becomes challenging, potentially dangerous. So yeah, sometimes it's best to ride on the wrong side of the road to have maximum visibility, which is sort of counterintuitive, but you kind of get used to these things after a while. So there I am, riding on the wrong side of the road, but not for much longer. Yeah, steady 30. Just enjoying, fairly dry actually, not too bad for this time of year. At some point I'll take you down to Gorran and a place called Dodman Point, which is a site of an Iron Age hill fort. One of several around this part of the world. So we're coming to a slightly wider part of the road now. Still not going to speed up much. So it's sort of quite agricultural around here. But we are going to be coming back into the touristy side. And on the left is Little Harbour Children's Hospice, which has only recently opened a few years ago. A fantastic facility for children who need that kind of support. Further down this road you'll come across the adult hospice, but and to the left is the local hospital, where I've also worked, of course, in my profession, and then the hospice. So yes, those are all the interesting bits along this part of the road. So then we come to the Lost, we've had the Lost Gardens of Halligan. Now we come to look at the Eden Project, another Tim Smith's place. Should I go to Charlestown? I think I ought to go via Charlestown. That would be a sensible thing to do. We won't do a complete Charlestown loop because it's going to be heaving like it always is at this time of year. That's where all the decent restaurants, cafes, pubs are in St Austell. It's almost a different place entirely, really. So yes, Charlestown, which will be to the right shortly. And doing something ridiculous in the middle of the road. During school terms, this is probably the worst place to be at this time of day, because there's Penrice School to the right, and it's heaving with children, their parents, and lots and lots and lots of cars, and is often gridlocked. But because it's half term, there's no children. Hurrah! Yeah, some of my friends used to work here. Don't know, I think it's one of the better secondary schools in Austell. Not entirely sure, but I think it is. Right, so coming into Charlestown, we've been up that roundabout called Mount Charles. This place is always very busy. So we're coming down into Charlestown, which is basically one of the richest parts of the area. Charlestown, so there's various pubs, restaurants, cafes. Interesting fact is that the hotel, the Pier House Hotel at the end here, had a nasty fire a few weeks ago. I'm not sure whether it's opened again yet, but yes, that's one of the main places for St Austell Wales. So yeah, it looks like they've got a lorry outside, so still doing work there. But lots of other places open, creamery and so forth, very popular. As you can see, this is pretty much popular all year round. I might pop up a picture or two for you to look at, because obviously I've been here a lot. Sunrise is the best time in winter. Right, so that was Charlestown. I think we'll work our way up towards Eden Project, which is the other, or the major attraction around here, indeed the major attraction in Cornwall, with 1 million visitors per year. So yeah, very popular. Well, that's interesting. That's newly opened. More than a bookshop. Looks like it might do art as well. That seems like some photographs for their gallery. And there's the new Indian takeaway. We tried that the other week. It's quite good. So that's definitely a bonus. Some new businesses, because very often it just seems to be closing down. Now then, right here. A lovely area of Snozzle. Lots of small shops and so forth, charity places. Air ambulance big around here, of course. They need a lot of funds to keep it going, because the air ambulance is absolutely vital. If you're in a region like Cornwall, where getting to people is not easy. It's not, you can send like an ambulance down a motorway, because there aren't any motorways, and sometimes the roads are, as you've seen them, very, very tiny. Vintage Emporium, indeed. Been in that one either. I think that used to be exotic pet shop, as far as I can recall. Yeah, so just motor up this hill, and then we'll do a brief intro to Eden, put up a few pictures. Left hand side, Mount Kerno, aka the Sky Tip, breathing reminder of the clay industry. So you can't get much starker than that, can you? There's a lot of them around here too. See, this place was very heavily industrialised back in back from Bronze Age times, really. It's where people came to get their, copper, tin, bronze, all that sort of thing, and of course later different metals as well. So, also encouraging, there are signs that there might be some lithium worth mining, which would really help the area. So, right here, I'll watch that one, the diesel spill. Yeah. Oh, let's put myself a bit of heat. My fingers are just starting to get a little chilly. The only thing I would say about the heated grips, there are so many settings now that it can take a little while to get you. Yes, I have got you on the camera. No, I probably won't send it in to the police, as I ought to. But what happens if you ride a mode like that? Happens every single time. One of these days, one of them will get me. Right, this is a nice little chink. If you turbo, I don't know how you take that 100 miles an hour, but I'm not going to. Oh, yeah. So, the Eden project looms. Really, if it weren't for the Eden project, I'm not sure what shape the local economy would be in, as it does provide employment, attracts many, many tourists, and provides a range of opportunities. So, ice skating in the winter time, obviously Christmas events. We'll just go into the entrance. On the right is the geothermal mine. Fantastic. And Tim Smits is hoping to provide power with that to local homes and businesses. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Maybe that's another thing that we have here in Cornwall that other places don't, because there's a big intrusion of granite underground. That is very hot. It provides the ideal location for the geothermal mine. For similar reason why there's a lithium mine nearby. So yeah, lots of things going on here. So I'm just going to do a loop. Electric cars to the right. Doing a big thing with Volvo at the moment. Not entirely sure I approve though, although, you know, electrifying the world is necessary because of all the problems with the global climate change industry and all that sort of thing. So yes, that was a quick detour around the Eden project. Daffodils, brilliant. Must have a trip there hopefully very soon. Right, well that really is it. Thanks for watching. I've been Captain Clumsy. You've been my audience. See you on the next one.